Sorry, yes, I know it's been like ridiculously too long, but we are back. What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode after what feels like an eternity, a century, a lifetime. It's been 2 months, however I am back and active and ready to start trying to make YouTube videos again. And today, what better way to resume other than with another episode of the Monoposto Career Mode. And today, we are at the Austrian Grand Prix for round number 8 of the 2026 Formula 1 season. Now, last time out, I appreciate it was a long time ago, so I'll bring you up to speed on what happened in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We began on pole, however we ended up P2 with the fastest lap, Fernando Alonso taking the win. I believe that was his third of the season, and then Lance Stroll ending up P3, so it's still a very close battle between ourselves. I, of course, am driving the Alpine this season, and Aston Martin at the top of the constructors' fight in this new era of Formula 1, the new regulations. And we come into the Austrian Grand Prix with a decent bit of momentum. We're, I think, 18 points behind Alonso, who's currently the championship leader, so we really need to try and gain some points on Aston Martin this weekend. So without further ado, let's see what the grid rundown looks like for this race. And old rivals have returned. Mercedes have locked out the front row, followed by Verstappen and Leclerc. What does this remind you of? Well, I tell you what, more than anything, it reminds me of the 2024 season when, of course, it was, Leclerc, Verstappen, and I think it was my first season for Mercedes. I can't remember. It's been such a long time this career mode's been going on for. We're only down in P9, which is not really ideal. I want to try and make some gains on that definitely during the race, especially as my teammate's P6. But, of course, the headline is Fernando Alonso has taken a grid penalty this weekend. So he's starting from the back of the grid. He's starting on the back foot. So this is a massive opportunity for us as a team and for me individually to try and gain some points in the championship this weekend. And as you can see, I'm running a fairly low wing setup for Austria. It's a power circuit. There's only 10 corners and they're all kind of fairly standard. So I'm going to start on the softs and try and be aggressive off the start line. Have old rivals returned, or is the race pace of the Alpine and Aston Martin going to prove too strong? Time will tell. We're underway for the Austrian Grand Prix, and it's been an absolutely shocking start. As, to be honest, I'm not too surprised because it's been a minute, to say the least, since I last played this game. Into the first corner, I've got Gasly on the right-hand side. We're going to try and hold it around the outside. Théo Pourchaire's managed to overtake me, and I'm now going wheel to wheel with the other Alfa Romeo Penske of Guan Yu Zhou. So actually off the line, it's not been an ideal start for us. We are down into P10, although the young French driver is hanging off the back of this group a bit. We're going to take it very easy as we go into turn 3, then use a bit more ERS on the exit, just trying to make sure that I stay out of trouble on the opening lap, because of course opening lap collisions, they can just completely ruin your races. Looking up ahead though, it looks like Stroll's lost the position to Pourchaire, and we're just going to capitalise on that. The Canadian driver braking very slowly. Don't forget, this is thinking of the constructors battle, and we've managed to get ahead, which is very nice. Now putting pressure on Pierre Gasly a few corners later. So as it stands, both Alpines ahead of Aston Martins. It looked like my teammate Ocon's had a good start as well, as we take a first warning for track limits, diving to the inside of Gasly at turn 9. Don't forget, I can't get too many more of those or we'll get a penalty. However, the McLaren just uses ERS. I don't even know if he uses ERS. He just seems to breeze past. That was close. Really aggressive dive bomb there on Pierre Gasly. We've got Lando Norris, who's the driver in front of us now, and we are up into P8. So we are looking like we are making some gains. DRS open now, down the back straight, through the middle sector, and we're braking into the whole gaggle of cars up ahead. Does this mean we might be able to gain some additional places round the outside of the Audi sport car of Lando Norris? This is going to be really close, but as we dive into the next left-hander, I will have the inside line, although it looks like the Audi has got superior grip there on the right-hand side now. Fastest lap for Max Verstappen, showing that the Red Bull pace is pretty good, although saying that, his teammate Yuki Tsunoda's down in P17, so maybe it's just, the skill that Max Verstappen has, that he's able to drag that car up into P3. Ocon is up into P2, which is good. Alex Albon, though, on the hard tyres, so, we've seen AI this season, going the whole race without making a pit stop on the hard tyres, because, the tyre wear has just been so much better this season, so maybe, who knows, the pole sister will be trying something different, as we now make a move on Théo Pourchaire to get ourselves up into P6, and it is the Thai Brit driver who is up ahead next, so he's lost quite a few positions off the start, but starting on the hards, I guess that's what you would expect. Meanwhile, my softs have worn out, and I'm going to be aggressive today, so we're going to pit in for an undercut. Ocon has now taken the lead, which is good, so for the team, this is looking really promising because, as I said, you know, we're both ahead of both Aston Martins now. So in terms of the constructors, we're looking in a really nice position. Yeah, I said I'm going to be aggressive. You are not seeing things. You have just seen me go for another set of softs, and then we're going to go to mediums for the final stint for us to finish this Grand Prix. Now, flying past JQs on the outlap, I have set the fastest lap. I can't remember when that was. And now we're trying to catch up to Logan Sargent in the Williams. We're on the right-hand side. The American driver leaves us plenty of space, thankfully. He's not going to fight us too hard, which is understandable. The Williams, the worst car on the grid. Why would you waste time trying to fight the Alpine, one of the best cars on the grid? Pull out the slipstream of De Vries, who just completely weaves on the straight. There goes Ocon out of the pits. De Vries has done about a quadruple 360 there. I don't know how. I've got no damage for that. I don't know how. I think he's possibly missing a front wing. How are we not out of this race? You saw me, I moved to the right to try and get the overtake done, and then De Vries just seemed to move to the right as well. I think he was trying to go for a move on his teammate Dennis Hauger in the other Ford Performance car, but that's really not good for our race because obviously, as you can clearly see, we now have a 5-second time penalty which will be added onto our race time at the end of the Grand Prix. So here we are, we're not wasting any time, flying past our teammate who has been the faster of the two of us this weekend. In the end, do you know what? I decided to back out and just let Esteban do his thing and see if we can follow through. I'll try and play the team game here and be a good team player, unlike Ocon has been in real life. Monaco 2024. Anyway, that aside, I'm now trying to go all the way around the outside of the McLaren of Oscar Piastri, and we have got superior grip. These fresh soft tyres working really, really well for me. It is, once again, a Mercedes 1-2 out at the front of the race. We've now got Verstappen, Leclerc behind me, both of whom have just made a pit stop. Verstappen retaken the fastest lap as I'm now passing the Ford of Dennis Hauger to get into the top 5 for the first time in this Grand Prix. So, and by the time we get over to lap 11, I'm going to pit again because you know what? Nothing else happened on that stint. Notice also that Charles Leclerc has a 5-second time penalty, and crucially, Fernando Alonso also has a 5-second penalty. It looks like it hasn't just been me causing collisions during this race. It looks like the AI haven't been getting along well with each other. They've been getting a bit tangled up, tripping over each other, and that's led to the stewards needing to dish out some penalties. Anyway, out of the pits we come. It looks like P18. I've just got a track limits warning when leaving the pit lane. Is that a bug, or did I genuinely go all 4 wheels off the track? Either way, that's not an ideal. That's just completely throwing away a warning there, isn't it? Anyway, look at this overspeed. It's just a shame that Sainz came out of the pits when he did, because otherwise that was a lovely double overtake on Alonso and Felipe Drugovich. And here comes my arch nemesis at the moment. He's on the left-hand side. You can see the red proximity arrow. The Aston Martin driver, I'm trying to leave space, although we are going to go up the inside. Drugovich moves in the brake zone. I'm forced there to take to the gravel to avoid the Repsol Haas, and as it stands, Alonso's managed to go clean around the outside, and after all of that we haven't actually gained any positions, which is not ideal. So we're going to need to try and get the hurry along now, because of course there's only 5 laps left when we cross the finish line at the end of this lap, although we're going to go super late on the brakes all the way around the outside of the 2-time world champion. That's a fantastic move there, and we're once again staring at the back of the Haas car. The Brazilian driver, he's having an okay season, being a little bit quiet, but then again, Haas, you know, they're just kind of slowly getting on with it, lower midfield, scoring a few points here and there. And yeah, I think, did Drugovich get on the podium at Monaco? If my memory serves me correctly, it was a long time ago, was that race? Maybe did, maybe didn't, maybe that's just me making stuff up. Either way, here's the gaining speed on Mick Schumacher, here's the move on Mick Schumacher up the inside of turn 1. Simple dive with DRS up into P15. Now we've caught up to the Chinese driver, Zhou Guanyu, up the inside there. The Alfa Romeo Penske just doesn't have a chance. You know, he's on warm medium compound tyres. And especially because we're just so much quicker than that car, he just doesn't have a chance, really. And now we're on to lap 14. Look at the front. Albon has a 10-second lead, and he's still on those hard tyres. So maybe Albon is willing to sacrifice the British Grand Prix at the next race to go all out and get the win for Mercedes here. Because don't forget, as we've seen this season, the regulation is if the AI don't make a pit stop during a race by staying on the hards, then they have to start from the back of the grid in the very next race. So maybe Mercedes have decided they think it's worth the risk, which makes it more interesting. You know, it adds an element of strategy into these games, you know, whether you decide to start on the hards or not. We're now all over the back of the other Repsol Haas car. This time it's Jehan Daruvula, you know, the current Indian driver on the grid. The last Indian driver was Karthikeyan, if I remember correctly. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I decided to back out of that move and just wait for DRS, and now just completely dump all the battery on the pit straight and just make the easiest slam dunk overtake ever. There we go, across the line. We're starting lap 15 and we're up into P10. Don't forget though, the 5-second penalty still has to come, which is why I'm really eager to try and get a hurry along with some of these overtakes. Now we've got up to Lance Stroll. The Aston Martin seemingly struggling this weekend, gone personal best in the first sector. Lovely move there around the outside of the Canadian, and we're just going to see if we can push away and try and catch up to Carlos Sainz. Speaking of which, as we're starting the final lap, the Spanish driver seemingly putting up a decent defence there into turn 1 is using ERS. I'm trying to do the same, and I've got the benefit of DRS, and we're not really making much of a gain on the Audi on the straight though. I think that's partly because my tyres are starting to wear out now. Although saying that, big dive to the inside and a purple first sector, so maybe I'm not as slow as I think. Although Sainz is maybe trying to come back at me. I'm completely out of the RS now, and I haven't got DRS, so this is an opportunity for the Spaniard to see if he can retake P8 from our grasp. On the last few corners of the race, I'm going to shut the door there and make sure that he isn't going to get through and try and push after Leclerc. However, wait till you hear this. This certainly wasn't in the script. We've had such a turn up from Mercedes this weekend. The upgrades that they've brought is almost like they've gone back to Mercedes of old. Through the final corner, and the tie-Brit driver is celebrating because for the first time ever, Alex Albon is a Grand Prix winner in Formula 1, and he wins in Austria like he was unable to manage in 2020. That certainly wasn't in the script. What a turn up this has been, and has this just added extra, title rivals? Has it just added, a whole new layer to this complex title battle? If, teams like Mercedes and Red Bull have, just found some upgrades, they're doing really well. They've found such good pace here this weekend, and they've put us to shame, and the pace has been legitimate. So huge congrats to them, and it's a 1-2. Because George Russell finishes second, Ocon gets the podium in third, and Verstappen is fourth. I set the fastest lap on the last lap of the race. It's P8 on the road. However, I think that's going to drop to P9 because of the 5-second time penalty that I had. I was almost trying to catch Leclerc there at the end, because of course he has a penalty as well, so that would have meant that we finished ahead of him. Other drivers are now taking away my fastest lap, so it looks like it's only going to be 2 points from this race weekend. And the fact that Alonso didn't score, Stroll didn't score, and Ocon got a podium, I'm not entirely sure how that's going to affect the championship. I know that, we won't have gained much, to be honest, but there it is, the confirmation of the 1-2 for Mercedes at the Red Bull Ring. Who saw this coming? But I mean, qualifying's just been so close this season. It is the closest grid that we've ever seen, and I guess, it just demonstrates that, if you get 1 or 2 upgrades and absolutely nail them, you can be back fighting at the front again really, really quickly. So I guess we'll have to see if this pace carries on. If Mercedes keep going on this upward trajectory, then they could be causing a lot of teams quite a few problems. And so could Red Bull, because, Verstappen almost got a podium today as well. He qualified in P3, so that was by far their best showing of the race. It's a shame Yuki Tsunoda wasn't able to extract the same performance from the car as his Dutch teammate was. And even Ferrari, Leclerc up in P4, and he scored, I think Leclerc ended up P8 in the end when that penalty was added on. But even so, Ferrari ain't looking too bad either. So I guess it just goes to show that with a couple more upgrades, the prancing horses could be right back on the ball as well. So there's the results from the Austrian Grand Prix once again. I'm sorry it has been a while, and I do appreciate that you guys have probably forgotten about this series and what's happening, as have I. As you can tell, my memory's very rusty. Here's the championship standings. So we are 18 points behind Fernando Alonso. Ocon is in P3, although he's only 3 points off the lead now. And George Russell, with that podium today, he was only on 2 points so far in this whole season, and look at where he's up to now. And we are leading the constructors after today, which is excellent, thanks to the work of my teammate. But guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.